Hey, I'm Axel, a longtime beta tester and also community tournament runner, and I'm here to give you the secrets of the world. Kinda, not really. I'm just here to talk about the current Mechabreak, well, meta. And I'm about to explain all of that in the form of a tier list. So stick around as I give you all the juicy little secret that isn't really a secret because it's been like a week and I was just waiting for the meta to settle before I talk about it. And essentially what this is going to be is a unhinged rant that you should definitely put on the background because it's going to have like no gameplay footage at all. It's just me yapping about this. So treat it like a podcast, if you will. And let's talk about the meta. I'm only doing this video because a lot of people have been asking me about like what to play or what the best striker is or how do we build a team. Well, here it is, right? Here it is. So I'm just cutting to this chase. No bullshit. We're in a super heavy meta. And if my chair will stop creaking, I would actually be able to move my arm to drag some of these super heavies up here. So here is bye-bye Tricera. Tricera is S rank for sure. If you guys seen my last August open beta tier list from the tournament, you would know that, hey, super heavies weren't actually all that good. In fact, they had a pretty not great win rate. Why is that? Well, it's because this little guy exists, Pinaka. And let's just bring up Pinaka right here. It's gonna go all the way down to B tier. And the reason why Pinaka is B tier now is this, right? We gotta talk about the big things in the room, Pinaka and Illuminate. So back in the August, Pinaka was really OP. He had damage, he had shielding, he had healing, he had everything. And more often or not, you're gonna get MVP on Pinaka just simply from existing. Illuminate was considered a really bad support. Illuminate now is the best support. Well, I mean, there's only really 2 healers in the game technically, so, but this is what I was most afraid of when I was talking about meta and balancing the first time. I was afraid that everything was going to be crux around the healers since there are so few in the game so far. So let's talk about that, all right? Let's stop right there and talk about these 3. So Tricera got a lot of buffs. Got some HP buffs, got some howitzer buffs. It now has 3 howitzer shots, which is awesome. And they're also reloadable, so you can pump 3 howitzer shots into somebody at one time. And that's just so much burst. But the biggest buff they have for Tricera, right, is the fact that Tricera got invulnerability frames. Invulnerability frames. Excuse my English right there. If they take a certain amount of damage with the complex shield, which is the blue shield that you see when Tricera locks down, when it takes enough damage, it will be immune to further damage for a short period of time. That is kind of an insane buff. And that also applies to this guy, Stego. But we'll talk about Stego, how he's problematic later. Well, back to C tier you go, buddy. So Tricera is really good, and they buffed him a lot. And Illuminate, back in the last August beta, already had huge synergy with some of the heavier units. Pinaka was always better with flyers, snipers, and melee characters. So Illuminate, now getting a ton of buffs, disruption, heal increases, just like an insane amount of stuff. Illuminate is now the best support. She is putting down more damage, more healing, more mobility, and her mobility is very good to pair for the super heavies, but her healing, her percentage heal is now also very good with the super heavies, because the super heavies want to stack on top of each other. Tricera and Stego is the dominant duo who stack on top of each other with Illuminate and become absolutely freaking unkillable. Especially because Luminate also has AoE heals. So that just makes everything even worse. And now we're in a problem where every single team is built off of like these these four. Here, cut into the chase, right? Beginning of the video, here you go. 5 minutes in, this is the S tier stuff. I'm not gonna like, you know, tell you this one by one by like for retention or something like that. This is the top 4 that you need to be picking. And if you're not picking these 4, you're throwing the game. I don't like that, by the way. I'm not encouraging this. I'm just telling you what it is. Tricera is insanely tanky and counters all other melee. Stego puts out an insane amount of damage and got like a ridiculous 30k something health buff from the last August beta, and also has the complex shield buffs. I don't believe it got any more damage buffs, but its damage was already really good. So if you stack Tricera and Stego and Illuminate together, they don't die. Now you add Welkin into that equation. You know what the biggest problem of these two super heavies were? It's that they're immobile. They're kind of weak to energy damage. You know what happened was Welkin? Yeah, Welkin got a bazillion buffs that made him essentially immune to energy damage. His EMP has an energy deflecting cloud that spawns on the enemies when he EMPs them, and he has now a deployable shield against range damage that also spawns a ton of energy blocking smoke, kind of like Skyraider's smoke. Yeah, just like a lot of it. So that buffed Welkin's survivability immensely, but he also got a shield buff with his boxes, where like his box always spawns with max HP. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, man, that is a lot of bucks. And you're probably right, that is a lot of buffs. Welkin is God's most favorite melee, and he is super overpowered right now. Along with, I think it actually should go like this. It's more like this. Super overpowered right now. A must pick, must ban kind of striker. I was looking for the words. And Pinaka got his damage gutted. His healing and utility is still fine, but his walls no longer, and his shotguns no longer does the damage or have the enough ammo capacity to counter some of these super heavies. And remember, Pinaka sets up all of the other people. Yeah. So Pinaka supports the sniper flyers comp. And here we go. Okay. So off of this top 4, you want to be building teams around that top 4, right? So what do you want to supplement this? Well, if you look at this, Alysnes is hyper buffed from his August beta appearance. He's got more damage, better attack pattern, and Alysnes finally now have the ability, after his 4 lives, or after 3 lives, he can finally eventually earn back another airdrop. So essentially, if you play well, Alysnes will never die and have a ton of disruption potential because it has ranged weapons as well as melee. And it pairs really well with Buddy Old Pal Welkin, because if Alysnes and Welkin trap someone inside of a box, they die. It's just as simple as that. These two together do not interfere with each other. They actually synergize very well. And they can both poke, they can both melee very well. Welkin boxes with Alysnes following up. Whoever is in the Welkin box will die. It's just as simple as that. There is no competition to that kill combo. And Alysnes is A tier right now. You can even run Alysnes by himself and he would be A tier. And I'm so happy that this is the case. And I'm so mad that he is like in this sort of meta. But yeah, Alysnes A tier. One thing though, please note, Alysnes is not very good against Tricera and Stego, but at least he has guns. He has like that charge shot, which is really good because it does energy damage. He has the rail guns, At least Alysnes can deal with ultra heavies a little bit from range and poke them out and disrupt them. Unlike my boy Panther. I'm gonna talk about my boy Panther later. But right now, let's focus on the better team comps. Okay, so you have Alysnes. What else do you want to add to this composition? Well, sometimes you will want an Aquila. Aquila is really good right now. Not only does he have the multi-lock, but also he has the just straight up better stat buffs. More air mobility, more shields, etc, etc. He did lose a little bit of survivability in my opinion, but he's really good and his damage is solid, and he can get those kill confirms by one, following up on melee damage done by Welkin and Alysnes, but Aquila can also just mostly snipe at the super heavies, right? Like Aquila does have a decent amount of energy damage, which Tricera is weak to, so it's okay to just try to poke out the super heavies using Aquila. It's very possible. So he's, in my opinion, highly contested pick. I said contested, not like, you know, not like there's gonna be any sort of bans or anything like that for the upcoming tournament, but maybe sometime in the future we might be able to get enough strikers to see a lot of good bans going on. But here's another combo to consider, right? So Falcon and Aquila is very good. So the reason why you would run Falcon and Aquila here with, you know, the S tier stuff is you would have complete domination of air control. Falcon is way better than Skyraider right now. Falcon has a lot more movement techniques, and also Falcon is more consistent than Skyraider. And we'll talk about Skyraider a little bit. But I think this is the best. These are the best strikers to run at this moment. And I think Narukami here. Okay, hear me out. Some people will argue that Narukami is not as good as Aquila. I'm seeing a lot of mixed opinions about this throughout the regions. The reason why Narukami is not as good as like Aquila is that if good Falcons exist, Narukami's just have such a bad time, like an insanely bad time. Falcon's a little bit uncontested in the skies right now. The only thing that can kill a good Falcon is either a very good Welkin trapping the Falcon in the box, or very good snipers. But these two snipers are pretty much countered by Falcon. Like I feel like Aquila's is hard countered by Falcon. Whenever there's a good Falcon on the other team, me as Aquila can't even do anything, just because like you really have to play close to the ground, and that strips away your air mobility, and you're not the tankiest thing in the world. You need a lot of heals, you need a lot of shields. It's just bad. Narukami actually, unironically, Narukami has a better time against Falcon than Aquila's, just because Narukami's have a lot more stealth options right now, and that's way more defense. Stealth is more defensible than whatever the heck air mobility Aquila has. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm putting Narukami. Then I would put Narukami right next to Aquila in terms of viability. I think they are interchangeable depending on people's preferences and depending on people's sort of play styles or who they're playing up against. But the two snipers are interchangeable. What's not interchangeable is my boy Skyraider. Well, kinda. I would still personally run Skyraider over stuff like Aquila's in a lot of maps. I think Skyraider has a lot of, you know what? No, this is my tier list. I'll put Skyraider in 8. Okay, this is all the stuff that I think is like very valid. I think Skyraider has still a lot of disruption, a lot of utility, a lot of point capture disruption. And what I mean by that is that he doesn't kill very well now, which is sad, but he still has a lot of AoE. He still has the anti-lock-on missile, and he still pairs really well with Falcon. So I think that Skyraider's damage is over nerfed. I think his ammo count for his primary weapon at least should come back a little bit. But right now, Skyraider have a lot of cooldown issues and also energy issues compared to Falcon. Plus, it didn't get the same movement tech of spiraling downwards and then firing like Falcon. So Skyraider, we're gonna put him a little bit lower, maybe even B. I'm not entirely sure. I see a lot of JP teams actually favoring Skyraider because of his disruption potential, and I think in competitive play, Skyraider definitely still has a place. So this is where I'm putting it at, right? And I do want to say, hey, it's okay. You can run anything you want and still win. However, you gotta realize that it's gonna take a lot more efforts to run some of these and win, rather than like playing something at the top. And speaking of effort, we'll put these guys down here. I think Panther is really hard to play right now. For two reasons. One, Panther's direct competition, Welkin and Alysnes, got better. So relative wise, Panther is worse already, right? Panther also can't keep up with the super heavy buffs. So Tricera and Stego absolutely shit on Panther Stego in an indirect way, but Tricera definitely just like, you know, Panther can't touch Tricera. And the other two melees at least have a little bit of ways to deal with Tricera, either by spinning rockets with Welkin or with just guns with Alysnes. Panther just can't really touch Tricera. The only thing Panther has is the jump lunge attack with its daggers against Tricera, and it's abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Against Stego's defenses ratios and health have been buffed. So what is Panther gonna do? In testing, it takes more than 5 fully charged lance attacks for Panther to kill Stego. And that is just absolutely not realistic in a real game because Luminate literally exists. Luminate's health regen for their teammates is so ridiculous right now that Panther just can't keep up most of the time. And another thing is Panther lost its one-shot potential sort of combo, right? So it used to be in the August meta, you can hit somebody with a dagger attack, lunging wise, stun them for that little bit, and then unleash a fully charged Panther lance. But now, due to a new lock-on stat being introduced, Panther is a lot less reliable when performing that combo. So his combos got nerfed, his stats didn't really change all that much, and he didn't get anything new. So he's a little bit just outpaced by everybody here. And I think he's really hard to play right now. I think that he's probably the hardest to do well on. And if you are playing a Panther, you can definitely climb the ranks in, you know, matchmake mode. But competitively, I think it's going to be really hard to compete with stuff like Welkin or Alysnes, especially because Alysnes got a new counter attack sort of like shield block attack. So when you block somebody with a shield against another melee attack like Panther's, Alysnes now performs kind of like a glaive lunging. It's not lunging, it's like a stab, you know, like a shield stab. I don't know how to really explain it besides you just going to try it out, but you know what I mean. It does a lot of damage too. So it's even more dangerous for a Panther now because its counters just got better. Hopefully, we'll be seeing like more strikers being added to counter the super heavy meta. Because in my opinion, the super heavies are actually at a decent amount of tankiness. Whenever I'm playing them, people kind of know how to play them or focus them. So there are definitely mobility issues to the super heavies. But right now, it's just that nobody's capable of taking advantage of their mobility issues, right? So what I'm really looking for is maybe like an energy attacker or somebody to really force Tricera, Stego to move around a little bit. And that used to be Pinaka. So hopefully if Pinaka gets better in the next patch or so, then the super heavy meta might recede a little bit. I don't know. But what I do know is that Hurricane is kind of in a bad spot and really belongs at the bottom B tier. Now, why would I say that? Well, okay, listen, all right, listen. Hurricane's actually not that bad. Hurricane probably deserves to be at A tier here. He has potential to be within a 3 heavy composition. Now, this is a particularly nasty composition that I don't really want to expose to anybody out there. But I guess we're going to have to talk about it. So when you stack, let's say this, okay? Either this, or you can do this, or you can do this. So Welkin, Tricera, Luminace, Stego, and Hurricane is a stupidly tanky composition. This composition will be able to hold any point against anyone. And the only thing they need is either a little bit more disruption or a little bit more kill confirm. And you can get that with either Alysnes, Aquila, or Falcon. That composition is so disgusting on Sky City, in my opinion, because you have to chew through so many decoys and health and shield health and healing and smoke and Jesus Christ, man. Like if you ever have the awfulness to run up against this kind of comp, congratulations. One, they're just gonna out HP you. Like look at that composition. That is a tanky AF composition. Two, it's not gonna be a lot of fun, but it is something to consider right now because I have seen triple heavy do very well on some of those more brawl heavy maps like Push the Cart or Sky City, you know, stuff like that, where the ranges for engagement aren't very high. Finally, we got to talk about Hurricane's brother, Inferno. Oh, wait. I do have to talk about Hurricane by itself. The reason why I wanted to put it at the bottom of the B list. Hurricane by itself is awful. Never run Hurricane by itself as a solo tank, ever. No, don't do it. Don't do it. It's so bad right now because it's so directly countered by Welkin. It's pretty ridiculous. Hurricane just got, like, there's not even that many changes to Hurricane. In fact, its primary weapon got buffed. But it just got outpaced by the other heavy buffs. And I wouldn't even really call it ultra heavy defender anymore. In fact, I wouldn't call either Inferno or Hurricane ultra heavies. They should just be heavy. Because I'm pretty sure Welkin has the same amount of health as those two frames or something like that. Like raw HP wise. Welkin is finally buffed up enough to be considered an ultra heavy brawler or something like that. But I would say the classification for ultra heavy should only be on the lockdown mechs like these, and then Welkin is heavy, Hurricane is heavy, and then Inferno is heavy. Just heavy. Okay, anyways, classification rant over. Inferno is kind of in a weird spot. I know that Inferno is probably somewhere around here, actually, but nobody really has them. For the people that actually have them, and I've seen them play in 66s, they have a bit of a hard time against two particular units, Skyraider and Welkin, obviously, because of their energy blocking smoke. And now that energy blocking smoke is so crucial to countering Inferno. However, Welkin is always picked. So Inferno is in like a weird spot where like it can brawl and a good Inferno player will never run out of energy. This is the thing, okay? Inferno, if played well, will never run out of energy. That is a fact. However, it's hard to play well, and there's a lot of situations on the battlefield, like smoke, disruption, and all that stuff, to mess with the perfect Inferno attack plan. Not to mention, its cooldowns are insanely high. Inferno's, primary weapons each have a, I guess, 9-second reload They're shotguns now, by the way, which is very cool. But nobody can play this guy, so we don't really know how good he is going to be. But I'm hoping that we will get some data from the upcoming community tournament, but also I hope that we'll get some data from the invitational tournament that they're playing in next week or something. But yeah, this is gonna be about it for all of the strikers, all 13 of them. If you got any questions, please ask. Just ask them. You can, you know, put in the comments, or actually I don't really check the comments anymore, because like I've developed this thing where I don't want to look at the view counts of my videos because numbers scare me. Ooh, numbers, algebra, calculus, statistics, But yeah, we're probably looking, this is the best idea of like a competitive tier list. And this is by talking to a lot of players and viewing games and playing by myself. I think most things are playable, and Pinaka and Panther are not playable. Although, you know, this would change completely if there were like bans and stuff. Oh man. I wanted to introduce a ban system, but I didn't think that we had enough strikers to do so. So hopefully there is no bans, right? In the future? Oh, actually, no, in the future it might be really interesting to have bans. Let's say if you ban out Welkin or Tricera on one of the more important maps. I would probably prioritize banning Welkin on stuff like Observatory, so that you cannot box into grabbing the objective for free. I would probably ban Tricera on stuff like Push the Cart. What is that? Hangar Bay? Not Hangar Bay, that's my Discord server. Shipyards. Right, shipyards. So that Tricera can't just like freely sit on the objectives and never die and get healed and everything. That's very boring, also very tough to deal with. So you get rid of that and you get to play other compositions. And if you ban out Lumine, then people will have to run Pinaka. And if you have to run Pinaka, actually it's better to start running lighter frames. Like Hurricane gets better when Welkin is gone. Or like if you run Pinaka, Falcon and Skyraider gets better. Or Achilles gets better. And Alysnes gets better. There might even be a point where people are going to be forced to play Panther. I don't know where that point is, but it might be true. It might be true. I have no fucking clue, actually, where Panther would fit in all of this. But I definitely know that if we had bans, it would be super interesting. But I hope and pray that there is going to be new strikers to shake up this meta. And I really, really wanted some for this new open beta. But it looks like we're going to be sticking with the 13 here. And that means we're going to have to see how it plays out in the community tournament that's coming up this Friday night, March 7th at 6:30 PST time. I will be streaming that on YouTube. I kind of want to stop streaming on Twitch, so we'll be streaming that on YouTube. And I think we'll have to see how this plays out in the Invitational next week too, because I have a feeling this is what most teams are going to be running. So yeah, thank you all for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. I appreciate your view time and appreciate you sticking with me. Please now then, it's been like 30 minutes, get some water, touch some grass, and I'll see you guys later or next time. Ciao.